Learning a new language is not just about memorizing vocabulary or repeating grammar exercises. Sometimes, the real challenge is the fear that you'll never truly belong in that language, that your voice will always sound borrowed, or worse, unnoticed. But stories have a way of pulling us in and making the strange feel familiar. That's why one of the best ways to learn English is by following real stories. Stories that carry emotions, tension, and connection. She was walking home from work, her bag heavy with groceries, her feet tired from the long day. The sky had already darkened, and the streetlights flickered one by one as she turned onto her block. It was a quiet evening, or at least it should have been. As she neared the front gate to her apartment building, a man stepped out from the shadows. He wasn't threatening. In fact, he looked calm, almost confused. "Anna," he said. She froze. No one called her that here. In this city, she introduced herself as and short, easier to pronounce, cleaner for the language she was still learning. Even her coworkers didn't know her full name. And yet this man, a complete stranger, had used her real name, the one her mother used, the one on her birth certificate, the one that still sounded foreign to her ears in this place. "Excuse me," she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. The man blinked. "I'm sorry," he said quickly. "I thought you were someone else." She nodded slowly, still unsure, her body tense. She watched as he walked away, disappearing around the corner. Her groceries felt heavier now. Inside her apartment, she placed the bags on the kitchen table and sat down. The word Anna echoed in her mind. It had been so long since anyone said it out loud here. She looked around the room, the English books stacked on the table, the sticky notes with vocabulary words on the fridge, the language app still open on her phone. She had spent months building this new version of herself. She had tried to become, and someone who didn't stumble over words, someone who didn't have to explain her accent, someone who belonged. But one word, her real name, had pulled her back. She tried to shake it off. Maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe he really had made a mistake. Still, she couldn't forget the way he said it. Not just the word, but the way it landed. Soft, certain, familiar. The next day, she walked to the cafe near the train station. It was a place she rarely visited, but today she wanted to see faces, to listen to conversations, to remind herself she wasn't imagining things. She ordered a coffee and sat by the window, the cup warm in her hands. A few minutes later, she heard someone say, "You're new around here, aren't you?" She turned. It was the barista, a young woman with curious eyes. "Kind of," she said. "Where are you from?" She hesitated. That question still made her nervous. "Eastern Europe," she replied. The barista smiled. "I thought so. My grandmother's from there." "You remind me of her stories." For the first time in days, she relaxed. They talked for a while. About the weather, about coffee, about names. She didn't tell the story about the man who called her Anna. But when she left, the barista called out, "Hope we see you again, Anna." She turned, surprised. "I saw the name on your cup," the barista said with a grin. "It's beautiful." That evening, she wrote in her journal in English, slowly, carefully. She wrote about names, about fear, about how strange and warm it felt to be recognized, even by accident. She realized something important. Learning a language isn't about hiding who you are. It's about expanding who you can be. That one word reminded her of where she came from. But more importantly, it helped her see how far she'd come. We upload videos like this every day to help you grow your English, one story at a time. Keep watching, and let the language become yours.